Thank you, G-Defy, for being a sponsor of Newsmax podcast. G-Defy shoes are the best choice for walking, running, and standing. If you spend a lot of time on your feet, these are the shoes for you. G-Defy's patented Verso Shock technology aligns your posture and perfects your gait. Go to gdefy.com and use the code MAX for $30 off on orders of $130 or more.
All right. Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Daily for Monday, June 24th, 2024. Hope you had a fantastic weekend, and what a weekend it was. 6/24/24, the 26th Monday of the year, the fourth and final Monday of June. 1 week from today is July 1st, believe it or not. 3 days from today is the highly, probably can't add enough highlies in there, anticipated first debate between President Biden and former President Donald Trump, which is going to dominate the news all week long.
He's sleeping now because they want to get him good and strong, so a little before debate time he gets a shot in the ass, and they want to strengthen him up. So he comes out, he'll come out. I say he'll come out all jacked up, right? All jacked up.
The former president hosting a rally in the deep blue city of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania at Temple University on Saturday night, while President Biden remains at Camp David, presumably prepping for the debate.
Hello, Pennsylvania. It's good to be with you. I'm thrilled to be back in the birthplace of American freedom with thousands and thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots, which is what you are. With your help, 5 months from now, we're going to win this Commonwealth. We're going to evict crooked Joe Biden from the White House. And we are going to make America great again. Less than 4 years ago, our border was secure. Inflation was nowhere to be seen. The world was at peace. They respected your country. And America was strong like never before. All because you finally had a president who put America first. I put America first. Now under crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of our country, the world is in flames. Our border is overrun. Inflation is raging. Crime is out of control. Europe is in chaos. The Middle East is exploding. Iran is emboldened. China is on the march. And this horrible, horrible president is dragging us toward World War III. We're going to be in World War III soon. I see every movie he's making. Remember, Trump was right about everything. You see the cap? Trump was right. We're racing a clock. We're racing a clock. We'll be in World War III with this guy. That's why this November, the people of Pennsylvania are going to tell crooked Joe Biden, you're fired. Get out. Get out. You're fired. Few communities have suffered more under the Biden regime than Philadelphia. Under crooked Joe, the city of brotherly love is being ravaged by bloodshed and crime. 2 weeks ago, 9 people were shot in a single weekend, including 3 teenagers so seriously hurt. Murders in Philadelphia reached their highest level in 6 decades. Retail theft in Philly, I spent so much time here, is up 135% since I left office. The convenience stores are closing down left and right. The pharmacies have to lock up. The soap. There's soap. You want to buy a little bar of soap? You got to go through a big deal. Open up the glass. Open up the steel. You can't keep a bar of soap. People walk in, they just take it. You can't buy toothpaste. You can't buy a toothbrush. You want a toothbrush, it takes you 45 minutes. Meanwhile, the schools are ranked 4th from the bottom in the entire nation, and Crooked Joe has no plan to improve them, none whatsoever. By the way, we're moving the Department of Education back to the states, and we're going to do it quickly.
Pennsylvania Representative Dan Meuser spoke about it on Wake Up America this morning.
Good morning, Charlie. Good morning, Rob. Great to see you. The reception was fantastic. I mean, there's truly nothing like a Trump rally. There were so many different groups of people represented. We assured that a number of African-American groups attended, and they attended with such enthusiasm. You know, they haven't been invited personally by a member of Congress or by the Trump team to a Trump rally before, and boy, did they show up in droves. Trump has given them hope and a plan at the same time, a real plan that they will participate in to improve the city, to fight crime. I mean, how many times did President Trump just as a side discussion when the chants and all began, just talk about how he was going to fight for people, how he was going to fight against crime, how he was going to fight for jobs. People know he's a fighter. He's a smart businessman. He has a plan to improve America. We know what it is. Joe Biden's plan is more of the same. And, you know, I hear the same thing from all of them. Joe Biden's all talk, no action. They're backing Trump.
Yeah, it's interesting. We heard last week in the lead up to this event on Saturday that they were going to boo Donald Trump in a city like Philadelphia. It didn't happen. In fact, the exact opposite. This crowd loved him, and I'm not just saying that. We can show you the video, but they're laughing at his jokes, and there's a line out the door that goes down the street. He's held rallies now in New Jersey. Something like 70,000 people showed up. He held a rally in the South Bronx, and that got 20,000 people. And now he's in Philadelphia. This is an effort to win over black, Hispanic, minority voters in urban areas, particularly in places like Pennsylvania, where if he wins Pennsylvania, Biden's going to have a tough time electoral winning. Yeah. Trump right now, a poll last week gave him a 2-point lead over Biden. Mm-hmm. What are you seeing on the ground in Pennsylvania, which is a really unique state, big city in the west, big city in the east, very rural in the middle?
We're working it hard. Laura Trump at the RNC and Michael Whatley are in Pennsylvania regularly. We're maximizing the ballots. You heard even President Trump at the rally. Vote. I don't care how you vote, he said. Mail it in. Vote early. Vote on Election Day. Just vote. And that's exactly our message. If there's a 1% chance you can't show up on Election Day, send in that mail-in ballot. Register for it. Make sure you're registered. Because come the end of the day, that's what's going to do it. We're hearing all this craziness, how the Democrats, first of all, I'm working on something with one agency where they're registering Democrat voters. And now we're hearing some things coming out about Susan Rice, a memo where they're talking about getting illegals to vote. So all American citizens need to come out and offset this. But on the ground in Pennsylvania, it's very good. He's way up with African Americans. I mean, like remarkably up. And we have this Latino American focus, which is gaining all kinds of enthusiasm. So, look, we got a lot of positive things happening in Pennsylvania. And you're right, he is up by about 2 points. That's about 120,000 votes. And we're hoping to keep it there.
That is Pennsylvania Congressman Dan Meuser on Wake Up America. Trump spoke for about an hour and 20 minutes or so, hour 25 minutes prior to the rally, as he has done in almost every other city he's had stops in. He stopped at a local restaurant for a meet and greet with the people, which blew up on social media, as it always does, but especially because of an exchange that he had with a kid who was dressed up like Donald Trump, hair and all.
I like that kid. Jimmy McDonald. So if your parents don't want you, I'll take you.
Yeah, baby.
He's a good boy.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you so much. What a guy he is.
Thank you, Mr. President.
So the former president and idol of the little kid got the kid a cheesesteak, gave him an autographed $20 bill. He also promised restaurant workers again that he will make tips tax-free. In fact, writing on the receipt, tax-free tips. And according to Congressman Meuser and others, the president left a $500 tip for the workers there. And you can't go to Philly without getting a cheesesteak, right? And another viral event from the weekend is the comments from New York Governor Andrew Cuomo on Real Time with Bill Maher back on Friday night.
And I was always with you on the one in New York, the hush money trial. I don't think they should have brought that one. It was just always going to look like a sex case. And people were always just going to look at it that way. So, anyway.
That case, the Attorney General's case in New York, frankly, should have never been brought. And if his name was not Donald Trump, and if he wasn't running for president, I'm the former AG in New York, I'm telling you that case would have never been brought. And that's what is offensive to people. And it should be. Because if there's anything left It's belief in the justice system.
Former New York governor and former New York Attorney General Andrew Cuomo on Bill Maher's show. The case should not have been brought. And if his name was not Donald Trump, and if he wasn't running for president, I'm the former AG of New York, he said, I'm telling you the case would not have ever been brought. Cuomo, in case you didn't know, is a Democrat. And you have to hear this segment from Sunday Agenda. Speaking of New York, Newsmax host Lidia Curanaj, a native New Yorker, because what she is going to tell you about what some people in New York are saying is what people all over the country are saying. And it's why President Biden is still polling close to Trump in many polls.
A heat dome has hit New York and many other parts of the country, from Chicago to Maine, with more blistering temperatures on the way. Like millions of Americans, my family, we sought relief and we headed to the town pool. Maybe you're going to the beach. I live in a now deeply Democrat suburb just outside of New York City, and I conversed with a group of moms. They had no idea who I was. I was a host here at Newsmax. And these women, they are staunch Democrats. And we actually all agreed on every single major issue, from the illegal invasion to the economy, to crime, to Joe Biden's very obvious mental decline. We all agreed that under this Biden regime, we are all worse off. So then I said, well, the choice is clear then. Who should be the next president? President Trump. And they all looked at me horrified. One mom even said to me, I could never do that to my daughters. I looked at her kind of shocked. And she said this is seriously what she said. She said, I quote, I could never vote for a Republican. They want to legislate women's bodies. What if my daughters found themselves in a bad way? I said to her, okay, first of all, that's not true. Secondly, so you are willing to pay tens of thousands of dollars more per year for everyday items, continue to fund this border crisis, skyrocketing crime, illegal invasion, this and that, just because you want to ensure that your daughters can kill their unborn child if they need to. She looked a little offended, but then she looked at me straight in the eye and she said, yes, absolutely. I am willing to make that sacrifice, she said. By the way, her daughters are 5 and 7 years old.
Newsmax host Lidia Curanaj. I know, right? It's just mind-boggling. I have had similar conversations with people myself. You probably have too. It's amazing. But there are people, women out there, that will put everything aside in the name of abortion. And there are still people who plan on voting for President Biden out of pure hatred for Donald Trump. All right, back to Lidia.
After this conversation and many others like it, I can definitively say without hesitation that the millennial woman, late 30s, early 40s, people that look like me, they will continue to be the downfall of this nation, making irrational choices, gut reactions, and not based on the facts. Ladies, the real war on women is actually being perpetuated by Democrats. Missouri officers arrested these 5 illegals for kidnapping a 14-year-old Indiana girl. All 5 men crossed here illegally from Honduras, Mexico. That incident coming as New York City police charged an illegal for raping a 13-year-old girl in a Queens Park in the middle of the day. The suspect's photo you see right there. It was on every TV, every social media page. So then when regular New Yorkers, they spotted him, you can see in this news report, they took matters into their own hands. Literally, the guy was hiding under a car. Good Samaritans, they held him down until the cops came. ICE confirming that this same Ecuadorian illegal was supposed to be deported back in February of 2022, but ICE never detained him. That illegal is part of ICE's non-detained docket, a.k.a. guys on the run. Their cases, they've exploded to over 7.5 million. ICE is simply overwhelmed, and all of this chaos is being aided and abetted by Joe Biden's propaganda networks.
Our banner said, soon Biden announces legal protections for undocumented spouses of U.S. citizens. CNN's banner said, Biden announces new protections for some undocumented spouses. Here was Fox's banner, migrant arrested for raping 13-year-old in New York City.
Yes.
And so I think that's part of the problem, right?
Exactly.
Is that you have
that's
a lot of fear-mongering.
Exactly. And that we know that when people have economic insecurity, right, when they're facing high childcare costs, when they're facing high housing costs, they are concerned for themselves.
Forget what Joy Reid just said right there. Did you hear her own member of Congress, Congresswoman Jayapal, laughing at the headline that a 13-year-old was raped by an illegal? This ain't funny, lady. Saying that Americans are upset about the border crisis because of economic insecurity? How clueless can you be? It's because illegals are killing us. Countries are emptying their prisons and mental facilities, and those criminals, they are coming here. This is not fear-mongering, Joyless Reid and Jayapal. These are hard, cold, real facts.
Again, that is Newsmax host Lidia Curanaj, who also spoke with South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace.
Thank you for having me today. And it's terrible what's going on. Welcome to the left's war on women. They don't want to protect women. They just want to pander to them. When you're talking about abortion, the left had a supermajority years ago, didn't use it to, quote, protect women from Republicans trying to destroy abortion. We want to protect lives. But all these women, and these aren't the only ones. We had a 4-year-old toddler last year, a little girl who was killed on the road by an illegal in South Carolina. The guy was deported under Donald Trump, let back in under Joe Biden. This is their mess. They created this. Republicans want to protect women and children. In fact, I've got a bill called the Violence Against Women Act by illegal aliens. If you're here illegally and you rape and murder a woman or a child, you should be immediately deported. Get out of our country. We want to put our nation's citizens first. And I bet you when that bill comes to the floor, Jim Jordan just passed it out of Judiciary a few weeks ago, we're going to have a mountain of Democrats voting against American women in this country.
You know, moments ago, I played a clip of a radical Democrat, Jayapal, laughing at that headline that a child was raped by an illegal in New York. These are the people we're allowing to represent us in Congress, but they want to say that Trump is the bad guy, he's the evil one, and you know, what is your reaction to your Democrat colleague literally laughing?
Well, it's pretty disgusting as a rape survivor who's been shamed by the left, by the likes of George Stephanopoulos and others over being a rape survivor. I find it extremely disgusting that anyone would mock women and girls who have been victims of rape and sexual assault. It's a horrible thing to go to. It's a lifetime of trauma. It's not a joke. And my question to Congresswoman Jayapal is, why is any of this funny? This is a problem that you created with Joe Biden, along with the administration, wide open borders. These illegals are coming across our border. They are raping and killing women and girls. And who's going to put a stop to it? We know who. That will be Donald Trump.
South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace on Newsmax. Tom Basile, host of America Right Now on Saturday mornings, spoke with Virginia Senate candidate Hung Cao, who received an endorsement from Donald Trump and won the GOP nomination last week to run against Democrat Tim Kaine in November. I don't know if you've been paying that much attention, if you have seen or heard from Hung Cao before, but this is an amazing story, and he's a pretty amazing guy.
Biden White House is continuing to tout the notion that the economy is stronger than ever under Bidenomics. Do you think that that message is resonating with Virginians?
Tom, the only person better off today than they were 4 years ago is an illegal alien. The economy is in shambles. We've got wars around the world. We have tens of millions of illegal immigrants across our border. They're crossing over here, including tens of thousands of military-age males from China, Yemen, Syria. I mean, you just showed that video of the Saudi, intelligence officers collecting on us. What do you think they're doing right now? The Chinese, they've got a balloon that flew over the United States. They had drones that flew into Langley Air Force Base, collecting on our base there that had F-22 planes. And then we had Russian ships, frigates with hypersonic missiles within miles from the Florida coast, and including a nuclear submarine. So please tell me why you would vote for Democrats unless you're just allergic to money.
You, Captain, are really the epitome of the American dream. You were born in Vietnam. You escaped Vietnam to the United States. You're an example of how legal immigration is a benefit to the country. But the Biden open borders policy has, as you just pointed out, really made a mockery of the system and endangered our national security. How does that resonate with Virginians, particularly since in Northern Virginia you have so many people who are part of public employees unions and they're part of the federal government apparatus? Do you think that the crisis is impacting them as well?
Oh, absolutely. Look, without a border, every state is a border state, and every city's a sanctuary city. And, this is a matter of life and death here. It was a matter of life and death for Rachel Marin, and it's a matter of life and death for Lake and Riley. And, people like Tim Kaine just don't understand. I mean, I told everybody, I said, you know what, we've been paid for by the same taxpayers for 30 years. And except he has millions of dollars to show for it, and I have scars. And, of course, yesterday he came out saying, why doesn't he respect my service the way I respect his? I'm sorry. Are you comparing your cushy office in an air-conditioned space where the biggest fear you have is a paper cut to me going to Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia, and getting shot at and blown up? I mean, I hope you didn't get hazardous duty pay for that, Tim.
That is Virginia Senate candidate Hung Cao on America Right Now with Tom Basile, who asked the military veteran for his take on the Vladimir Putin-Kim pact in North Korea last week.
We did see a summit this week between North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un and Russian President Vladimir Putin, and they signed a joint security pact. Here's how the White House responded to that meeting.
We're not concerned about the trip. What we are concerned about, Trevor, is the deepening relationship between these two countries. Not just because of the impacts it's going to have on the Ukrainian people, because we know North Korean ballistic missiles are still being used to hit Ukrainian targets, but because there could be some reciprocity here that could affect security on the Korean Peninsula. Now, we haven't seen the parameters of all that right now, certainly haven't seen it come to fruition, but we're certainly going to be watching that very, very closely.
Captain, the threats to our national security keep coming while military recruitment continues to fall short. What do we need to be doing to protect our interests and our allies and rebuild our military?
Well, we definitely need to open our eyes. This is the new axis of evil. We call it cricket. So it's China, Russia, Iran, Korea, and the terrorist organizations. And they're all in cahoots with each other, and they've been for years. It's just the Biden administration turns a blind eye to it. Iran has been emboldened through, because they were threatened through the Abraham Accords that President Trump set out there. And now they're emboldened because Joe Biden allowed them to have millions of dollars through the, lifting the oil embargoes. And, they're doing everything they can to thwart this. What we need in the Persian Gulf right now is a Gulf response force, very similar to the NATO response force, where it's a rotational, group of countries that are like-minded, that want prosperity. And they just rotate around the headquarters unit, the air component commander, the maritime component commander, and the Air Force's component commander. They would rotate around every year and let them police the Middle East and let them police Iran. But we need a stronger military, and we've got to stop demonizing our alpha males and alpha females. These are the people that we want in our military that will rip out their own guts and eat it and ask for seconds, not these guys cross-dressing and going on Twitter with lipstick. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Vietnamese American Republican Senate candidate Hung Cao of Virginia. We want guys that are going to rip out their guts and eat it and then ask for seconds, not guys wearing lipstick. I can't wait to see a Hung Cao interview on Frontline with Carl Higbie, former Navy SEAL Carl Higbie. All right, so Cao is running against Democrat Tim Kaine, Hillary Clinton's vice presidential pick back in 2016, you may recall. Trump over the weekend said he has picked his VP and that person will be with him at the debate coming up on Thursday night. There is speculation, mainly because Trump's plane was spotted in Cleveland, that his pick is either J.D. Vance or Vivek Ramaswamy, since both of them live in Ohio. And because Trump's plane went to Ohio kind of under the radar. Not literally under, the radar, but, without much fanfare or anything. Like, they kind of tried to sneak it in. Also in the news this weekend, a Detroit police officer was killed in the line of duty. You will hear a lot about a lot of things today, but you probably won't hear much about Deputy Bradley Reckling, a husband, a father of three that was ambushed and killed by three thugs, three dirtbags. As of this morning, the search for those suspects was continuing. And this is really sick. In Phoenix, a guy was trapped under a car after the jack collapsed on him, pinning him under the car. Instead of helping him, a couple of thugs robbed him while he was pinned under the car, essentially fighting for his life. A fight that he later lost, by the way. This is from News 3 in Phoenix.
After his wife's car broke down, the 69-year-old drove his daughter's car back to work on it. Police believe the jack holding the car up collapsed, causing the car to crash down on top of him.
Who knows when the car really fell on him? Who knows how long he's been under there?
His daughter, Monica Garcia, believes her dad may have been there for hours. She thinks he got to the parking lot to start work on the car around 9:45 in the morning. Police were called around noon. It all happened less than 2 miles away from where she lives.
After everything, they went through my dad's pockets, I guess, and they went through my mom's car, and they saw them leave with my car.
Finding out witnesses stole from her dad instead of stepping in to help adds insult to injury.
It's hard because, I would never do that to somebody. I mean, I could care less about my car. I mean, at least they could have stayed there with him, until help came. And at least I would have known he wasn't by himself all day until somebody decided to say, oh, my God, he's not moving.
How unbelievable and sickening is that? Is this really what this country has now become? These scumbags should be charged with attempted murder. They'll probably just be charged with some kind of robbery. I don't know if they were armed or not. Obviously, armed robbery would make it a lot more serious, but they'll be out in a couple of weeks or they'll get bail. On a lighter note, we have a huge historic sports event happening tonight. No team has come back from being down 3-0 to win the Stanley Cup since the Toronto Maple Leafs beat the Detroit Red Wings back in 1942. Now, 82 years later, the Edmonton Oilers have a chance to do that, unfortunately, against the Florida Panthers. The collapse of the Panthers, who are on the verge of wrapping up the whole thing, has been incredible. Lots of kudos to Edmonton, too. If you don't know, I live in Florida, so, obviously I'd be rooting for Florida, okay? Nothing specifically against Edmonton. But if the Panthers win tonight, when the Panthers win tonight, nobody will care about the horrific last 3 games. It would be the first ever Stanley Cup for the Florida Panthers. They were in it last year. They lost to Vegas. So this would be back-to-back losses, but also an unprecedented historical loss of blowing a 3-0 lead. They were also in the Stanley Cup back in the 90s. They lost that one. That was the first time. So it'll either be the first time in 82 years that a team has come back from a 3-0 deficit to win, or the Panthers will win their very first ever Stanley Cup. Although it has been a long time, the Edmonton Oilers have won 6 Stanley Cups. Keep up with all the news today and tonight on Newsmax, Newsmax Plus, and Newsmax.com. Newsmax is available, as you know, on most major cable systems: AT&T, Comcast, Cox Cable, Fios, Hotwire, Mediacom, Suddenlink, Xfinity, and many others, as well as Dish and DirecTV. If you are not streaming on Newsmax Plus, go to NewsmaxPlus.com right now. Get signed up. You can get a free trial. It includes all of your favorite shows and hosts like Rob Schmidt Tonight, Greg Kelly Reports, The Record with Greta Van Susteren, Carl Higbee, Wake Up America, and much, much more. I'm Tony Marino. This is the Newsmax Daily. Thank you so much for listening. See you back here tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your Monday and keep on fighting the good fight.
News breaks every minute, every day. You need the app, the Newsmax app. Find it free on your smartphone store. Then watch us anytime, anywhere.
It's our America. We conquered it. We built it. Great values like honesty and fairness. Great courage. A great nation needs a free press. Newsmax is it. 30 million Americans regularly go to Newsmax when they really need to know. They watch Newsmax TV at home. On the free Newsmax app, they go to Newsmax.com. Start today. Newsmax is real news for real people.